Spring ball kicks off for Sun Devils football tomorrow, and more than a few players have their jobs on the line.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCalls, and get $20 off your first purchase. Spring ball is kicking off tomorrow for Sun Devils football. More than a few players are going to be competing for their jobs. Skill position guys. Keep an eye out. Trenches, offense and defense, linebackers, niche roles, supporting roles, all of them will be competing for their job. All of that is coming up on the show. We are going to start with the position groups, because how can you not start with the big bang that everyone is most excited about? And let's be honest, there's a lot of intrigue going into the 2025 season when we look at the skill position group, because we know who our top guys are. We know who wide receiver 1 is, and that's Jordan Tyson. We know who tight end 1 is. That is Shimon Mateer. We think we know who running back 1 is. Let's start our conversation right there. The question is, who is replacing Cam Skattebo? Now, as of this Monday afternoon, it's about 3 o'clock as I'm recording this, we are under the assumption that Kanye Udoh, the transfer from Army, is going to be the favorite to win that starting running back job. Ran for over 1,100 yards and scored 10 touchdowns last year with the Black Knights in a, I don't know if I call it a part-time role, but certainly not the focal point of the offense. Pretty darn good. He feels like the favorite. Is he, though? Because Kyson Brown is still on this roster, and I talked about Kyson Brown recently over the weekend. If you did not see that podcast, definitely check it out, as I'm going to tell you why Kyson Brown is the starting running back for this team. But we will wait and see. There's a lot of hype here for both of these guys, and there should be, because Kanye Udoh is a very talented, high upside player. He runs hard. He scores touchdowns. The yards per carry is phenomenal. There's a lot to work with here. But Kyson Brown, first of all, he got a chance to advertise himself last year as the starter for the post-Skattebo era when he took over the UCF game, because the People's running back, Cam Skattebo, was out with an injury. He looked pretty darn solid. You know, the stat line was, it wasn't anything that was going to blow you away, but you watch him live and you're like, yeah, I can live with that. That's more than good enough for me. So this to me feels like a two-man race right now between Kyson Brown and between Kanye Udoh. Who is going to start as running back 1? I think if I were to make a depth chart to start spring ball, I'd probably have Kanye Udoh as the number 1 running back. But that is very much subject to change. And something that I've said on the show very, very often is I see this more as a running back 1A, running back 1B backfield than a number 1, number 2 definitively on your depth chart. I think that both of them bring a lot to the table, and both of them could complement each other very well. And for what it's worth, we've seen Kyson Brown as a pass catcher. We have not seen that from Kanye Udoh during his collegiate career. He has 2 catches in 2 seasons. We don't know what's there, but we do know that Kyson can catch the football. Speaking of catching the football, we can't forget about Malik Brown. Super talented guy and a former 5-star for a reason. But he's been injured his entire collegiate career. That was the case last year too. He's going to have to do a lot of work, but you can't deny the talent. Okay, let's move on. Wide receiver 2. We know Jordan Tyson's number 1. Okay, well, here's the question. Who is playing opposite him? Now, this wide receiver room is brand spanking new. Xavier Guillory is gone. Melkon Stovall is gone. Jake Smith is gone. Troy O'Mary is gone. there is a lot of room here for a lot of different guys to come in, compete, find a starting spot, or find a big time role with the team. As of right now, the lone returner from last year that feels like the best option to have a starting role is Malik McClain. He had 2 catches. Both of them came in the postseason. One was against Iowa State. One was against Texas. Both were over 40 yards. His catch against Texas was a trick play touchdown reception from Cam Scadaboo, the People's running back, because he can catch it, he can throw it, he can run it, he can punt it, and he's your mom's favorite player. That's why we call him People's running back on this show. But, neither here nor there. The point is that Malik McClain doesn't have a lot of production returning or from last year that is going into this upcoming season. So wide receiver 2, wide friggin' open. There is not a single person on this roster right now that feels like a slam dunk. And ASU was very aggressive in the offseason in adding guys to this room. 3 guys were brought in through the transfer portal. Jalen Moss, Noble Johnson, Jaren Hamilton. Jalen Moss is my current favorite to be the number 2 receiver on this team. Now, for what it's worth, he's also my favorite to take the slot for the team, which would leave a spot on the outside opposite Jordan Tyson open, and that's Malik McClain until further notice. Now, that's where Noble Johnson comes in, and that's where Jaren Hamilton comes in, as those guys feel much more not inclined, but much more suited. There we go. Much more suited to be an outside guy compared to Moss. Noble Johnson looks like the part. I mean, if you're specifically looking at the aesthetic, right? You see Noble Johnson walk onto the field, you're like, that looks like a number 1 receiver. That looks like a starting outside receiver. That's going to be tough competition. And Jaren Hamilton has the deep speed, and that's going to get him an important niche role with the team no matter what happens. But that's something that could help separate him from Malik McClain. There's nothing guaranteed here. And quite frankly, Malik McClain might have to be the best receiver on the field, better than Jordan Tyson, to prove that he deserves the wide receiver 2 spot. One more skill position guy before we go ahead and transition to the trenches. Khamari Anderson is transferring in to be the number 2 tight end. Shimon Mateer, until further notice, is locking down the tight end position as the starter. And last year, there was not a lot of production from the tight end spot that didn't come from Shimon Mateer. And I imagine that ASU would like to get that changed with the way that they're recruiting the position and the emphasis that they seem to be putting on building that for the future of this program. There's 4 stars that are coming in on an annual basis right now. They're going to want to get that figured out. Now, there is, similar to wide receiver, there's not a lot of returning production for the tight end position that there was last year. And I mean, there wasn't even that much beyond what Mateer brought you, but it's essentially a brand new room. Khamari Anderson is transferring in from Kentucky. He's got experience. He's got starts. He's got statistics that will give him an early edge, but he's not guaranteed anything because ASU has 2 4-star tight ends in the wings who might be the future of the position. Number 1 is Jayden Fortier. You listen to this podcast for years at this point, you know that this is a Jayden Fortier fan show, fan podcast, fan club, whatever you want to call it. We are Jayden Fortier stands on Locked On Sun Devils. And the thing that excites me so much is just his potential as a receiving option. You want to see the rest of his game grow as well. But I don't think there's a tight end on this roster that is as talented as a pure receiver as Jayden Fortier is. And that's going to be really important. But then you have AJ Ia, who is coming in as a 4-star freshman. And he actually was rated higher as a recruit than Jayden Fortier. And he does have a much more well-rounded skill set, but he's still a really good pass catcher. And Khamari Anderson, even though he has the experience, doesn't have a lot of proven track record. He's looking for playing time. He didn't get nearly as much as he wanted to at Kentucky. He's looking for it. He's not guaranteed it. And with two incredibly talented young players that will be breathing down his neck, that's going to be really tough. So he's going to need to find a way to separate himself from the youngsters. The good news is he's got at least one leg up in the competition. Like, he should have a really, really good head start ahead of those guys who neither of them saw the field. Fortier missed his freshman year with an injury, so he redshirted, and Ia is a true freshman. So there is a lot that those two have to prove. And unless Anderson completely blows it, or those two come out and they look like 5 stars, not 4 stars, it's Anderson's job to lose at the moment. But that doesn't mean that he can be sleepwalking his way through this. We're going to transition over to the trenches coming up next on the show. Offensive line, defensive line, and I want to talk about the linebacker position as well. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me tell you about our friends over at 5 Hour Energy, because daylight savings snuck up on all of us once again, even if you're in Arizona, because we got to make up for everyone else. But don't worry, 5 Hour Energy has your back, and that extra sunshine means more time for fun, which means that you need that little bit of boost to get through your day. Whether you're staying up and watching the NCAA tournament like the sicko you are, like myself, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up for the tournament action. How could I not? It's March. But I'm making sure that my 5 Hour Energy is ready to go. My Tropical Burst is my go-to flavor, and I make sure that that bad boy is always ready to be with me. It's small. It's easy to carry with you. Have it on you, and you'll be ready whenever. You can go to 5hourenergy.com right now. Find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, and my personal favorite, Tropical Burst. You can build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered to your door. If you need one now, you can grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. Get yourself a 5 Hour Energy. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to make Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. We have a wide open competition across the board for the Sun Devils. The skill positions wide open. The trenches, very interesting. Now, we have a very good idea of what's going on with the trenches, right? 4 of 5 starters for the offensive line last year are back. What's really interesting, the left guard, Ben Coleman, is moving to center. This is something I previously brought up on the show, and it was confirmed that that's going to be the decision. Left guard is wide open. I am not talking about left guard today. That will be something down the road. The reason why is we don't have a slam dunk starter at left guard right now who could lose his job. And we're focusing on guys who could lose their jobs. So if you're looking at the offensive line, you know who might? Believe it or not, Josh Atkins, the starting left tackle. And I know that might sound pretty crazy, and I don't blame you for thinking that, but hear me out. Josh Atkins played very well down the stretch last year. And for a left tackle position that opened the season pretty wide open, I mean, Emmett Boley had first dibs at the spot, and they had, oh God, who else was getting snaps out there? I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure they're gone though. They had a lot of competition at tackle, left and right tackle, but Maxi Yoniker was able to lock down the right side. So left tackle was open. Josh Atkins eventually was able to outplay everyone. He became the starter at some point during the year and held it down the rest of the year. He played well. There's room to grow, but he played well. He's not guaranteed a starting job because Jalen Klemm is expected to be healthy. Jalen Klemm was someone that I talked about last summer and going into training camp as one of the most intriguing transfers that I was taking a look at. Because with Jalen Klemm, it's important to remember that when he was at Washington, in 2023, he was a starter for a Washington Huskies offensive line that not only went to a national championship game, but won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line unit in the country. Klemm was a part of that group. That was a huge get for ASU. And what I loved about him is he had left tackle experience, but he had experience at guard as well. And during training camp, ASU was putting him all over the place. Now, unfortunately, he was banged up last year, and we did not get to see what we wanted to see out of him. But he is expected to be healthy. And that left tackle experience and the talent and the upside and everything else that's going to combine going into this spring ball opportunity gives Jalen Klemm that chance to usurp and Walden had to retire from football. Unfortunately, best of luck to him on the next stage of his journey throughout life. It's a bummer that football didn't work out for him, but there's a lot more that this world offers for him, and we're wishing him the best here. But that just kind of narrows down the competition a little bit more. And it feels like Josh Atkins and Jalen Klemm are going to be pushing each other for the starting left tackle spot. Let's go ahead and flip to the defensive side of the football. Let's look at the trenches. Let's start off the edge. Starting edge room look. Well, I feel pretty confident that Clayton Smith will once again be a starter. He has been a starter in his 2 seasons that he has been at ASU. At a minimum, he has been the number 3 guy that they have rotated. He is going to once again hold down that role until further notice. And he's been a very good football player. Unfortunately, the box score has not really backed that up. Okay, who's playing across from him? Well, Prince Dorbah is the guy that, as of right now, I think is probably your starter. And one of the reasons for that is he was previously a starter for you, and he was previously a very good football player for you. He tied for the team lead in sacks back in 2023. His first season in Tempe had 6 sacks that year. Now, unfortunately, he was banged up last year, and it kept him off the field a lot, which gave other guys an opportunity to move past him. And that guy who capitalized the most was Elijah O'Neal. And Elijah O'Neal was someone I said was a breakout candidate going into last season. I would say that he fulfilled that prophecy. And he's going to push big time for a starting gig going into this season. I right now am giving the edge to Dorbah because Dorbah has been proven with this program. And when he was healthy last year, I don't know if he got official starts, but ASU made sure that he was on the field quite a bit. They like what they have in Prince Dorbah. It doesn't mean that he's guaranteed this because Elijah O'Neal had starts last year and he played well last year. He needs to keep an eye out. And there are some other guys to watch for, younger guys. Honestly, I don't really know about the younger guys, I guess, now I think about it. But, I mean, Justin Wadley is still here going into his redshirt senior season. Still around. There are defensive ends here that are going to be pushing for starting time. And for an ASU team that loves to rotate throughout the defense entirely, there's not a starting gig that's necessarily locked down right now. There's a handful of guys who have it, but then you have spots like edge rusher where it's wide open. I like Dorbah for right now. Let's see if that continues to be the case. Staying with the defensive line, Zach Swanson has the chance to be the number 3 defensive tackle, but is he going to be the number 3 defensive tackle? Speaking of rotating guys, ASU rotated the heck out of their defensive tackles last year. They had 4 guys that they were very, very confident in playing. CJ Fight, Jacob Kongaika were the top 2 guys, and they will be the top 2 guys once again. They are entrenched as starters, and there's not much you can do to take that role away from them. Jacob has been outstanding, and CJ has been a starter since his freshman year. Good luck trying to usurp them, but the the third spot, it's not quite a starting role, but you're going to see a lot of snaps. And right now, Zach Swanson feels like a shoo-in, and he's got a great start, but there are guys here. There are some very talented players that are going to push him. Remember Anthony Cooper? He's been here a long time, and he's moved from edge rusher to the interior of the defensive line. He missed last year with an ACL tear. He did have an extra year of eligibility to be able to come back, and he is back. He's going to have to work his way back from an ACL tear, but I'll tell you what, when you have the amount of years under your belt that Cooper has, and having the experience of playing off the edge and moving inside. By the way, in 2023, when he played some inside defensive line, he looked pretty good. So as long as that knee checks out, he's also got a very, very, very good shot at being the number 3 defensive interior guy. Don't forget about Blazin Lonalong, who has also been biding his time on this team. And I feel like it's a matter of time until he starts to get active. And then you have Michael Gardner, transferring in from Oregon, redshirt freshman, local kid. He's struggled to get on the field in his first 2 seasons. One of the years was injury. One of the years he was just redshirting. But he's back. He is as talented as any of the defensive tackles on this team. He truly is. If he's healthy, watch out for him. That is a sleeper that you need to keep an eye on. One more that I want to mention before we start talking about some niche players is the linebacker spot. Keyshawn Elliott is your number 1 linebacker. No ifs, ands, or buts. He is coming off of an all-conference player season. Who's starting next to him? ASU loves rotating. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. They love rotating. And we saw that a lot with linebacker last year. Caleb McCullough, Zyrus Viaseu, Jordan Crook all saw the field a lot. Caleb McCullough is gone. Zyrus Viaseu and Jordan Crook return. I'm currently leaning towards Zyrus to be the starter next to Keyshawn. But Jordan Crook did get at least 1 start towards the end of the season. I do remember him getting a start, and he saw the field a lot, and he made some plays. He has every opportunity to be the number 2 linebacker. And I want to remind everyone of Tate Romney. Tate Romney was one of the top 5 tacklers for ASU in 2023. He was banged up last year, so we didn't get him on the field. He's healthy, and last I checked, he's still really good at football. Do not forget about Tate Romney, because he's good. He's a good tackler. He's got good instincts, and he's familiar with this defense in his 3rd year. You need to keep an eye out on Tate Romney, because it feels like he has been forgotten about, and that's going to be a big-time mistake. And then for what it's worth, keep an eye on Martell Hughes going into his redshirt freshman year. He may be ready to make a jump in his 2nd year. Linebacker 2, wide open right now. There are no clear starters outside of Keyshawn Elliott. And I don't know that we're going to have any kind of confirmation on who linebacker 2 is for a while. Zyrus is probably getting first dibs. Will he be able to hold on to it? Coming up next on the show as we wrap it out, 3 niche roles for the team that are up for grabs. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's time to talk to you guys about our friends over at Game Time, because if you are looking to get tickets for your next event, then you need to use our friends over at Game Time, because there's nothing like going to a live event for your favorite sports team, and Game Time is going to be the place that makes sure that you get a great deal and a great price on your ticket. You need to check them out. You especially need to use their Game Time Picks feature. It's a curation process that makes it easy to find value on tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater events. It shouldn't be stressful to get your tickets, and that's why Game Time is here to help you with last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Unbeatable. Because if you find tickets somewhere else in the same section and row for less than what Game Time provides, they will give you 110% of the difference. I was looking at Game Time. the other day because I want to go to another comedy show, and they've got great prices all throughout the valley. You can have that peace of mind too by getting a view of your seat in the app before you buy. There's no surprise fees, that aforementioned lowest price guarantee, and you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to make Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. 3 niche roles that are up for grabs for the Sun Devils. Let's start with maybe a controversial one. Number 2 quarterback. Who is ASU's backup quarterback? Well, it's Jeff Sims, right? I don't know who else it's going to be. No one else on this roster has nearly any experience, if any experience at all. Trenton Bourguet was the guy who pushed him the most last year. Bourguet is now a part of the coaching staff. Oh, is that everyone that has playtime experience? Oh, got it. Okay. So, Richie, how do you expect someone to push Jeff Sims, who has, 19 seasons worth of college experience at this point, who had a spot start for ASU last year when Sam Leavitt went down? How is anyone going to push him? Well, I'll tell you how. It's because Jeff Sims is the veteran, and ASU may be looking for youth movement. This may be the time for ASU to take a look at their youngsters, see what they have. They're recruiting for the future. Jake Fetty is going to be a part of the 2026 recruiting class. He's a 4-star quarterback. Cam Dyer, unfortunately, is going to miss this season because of an injury he is recovering from. But he was a 4-star coming out of New Mexico, and he has a chance to be the quarterback of the future. But then you can't forget that Michael Tollefson is also in this recruiting class. He was a 4-star quarterback once upon a time. And unfortunately, his senior season of high school football did not go the way he wanted it to. He went from California to Arizona and was not able to put together a successful season because of a middle of the semester change. And it feels like a lot of people are already selling him. And I'm not ready to sell on him just yet because the talent didn't just suddenly disappear for Tollefson. It is still there. It is very real. Then you have Navi Bruzon, someone I have claimed many a times is the face of #Activate the Valley. Arguably the greatest high school football player in the history of Arizona. The entire state, from north to south, east to west, Navi Bruzon might be the greatest high school football player ever in the state of Arizona. And he's still here, and he's still kicking it, and he's learning the playbook. And sure, maybe he's not the biggest guy, he doesn't have the biggest arm, he's not the fastest, whatever. But sometimes guys are just good at football, and Navi is good at football. And if ASU is thinking about a youth movement, then Navi Bruzon has every opportunity to be the number 2 quarterback for this team. Every opportunity. Jeff Sims needs to play his best. And he's got a seriously firm grip until further notice of the quarterback 2 spot. But that youth movement is very important to remember. And also important to remember is Sam Leavitt is eligible for the 2026 draft class. If he has a big season, he could leave. He could be a first-round pick. And that is going to leave ASU with some question marks at quarterback. And if they don't get Michael Tollefson on the field, if they don't get Navi Bruzon on the field, they're going to have a ton of question marks at quarterback for 2026. So they're going to want to get those guys out there. Jeff Sims, your job is not guaranteed, but you do have a very firm grip. Okay, who is going to inherit the Khamari Simmons role? What is the Khamari Simmons role? I'm glad you asked. It's nickel corner. It's safety number 3. It's the starting defensive back. Khamari didn't really have a solid position for the team as far as I'm concerned. They just had him out there. They played him off the edge. They had him drop into coverage, and they had him as arguably the best run defender on the team. He is gone. There is a huge hole to fill here. And quite frankly, this is going to be a group effort because you don't have one individual that does everything that Khamari Simmons does. But my biggest question right now is who is the starting nickel? Not so much the third safety, not so much the defensive back. Who is the starting nickel corner? Cole Martin was supposed to be that guy last year. He was injured. He is now at UCLA. Okay. Interesting. Kendrick Breedlove transferred in over the offseason. He is set to be a nickel corner. He feels like a plug and play. I got news for you. That's not going to be the case. He's going to compete. And funny enough, I think most of the competition is going to come from other safeties. We'll start with Montana Warren. Warren going into his redshirt sophomore year. You listen to Locked On Sun Devils. This is another fan cast for Montana Warren. And he had an opportunity against Texas in the first half to show off being the replacement for Khamari Simmons. Remember, Simmons was suspended for the first half of the Peach Bowl because of the worst targeting call I've ever seen. And then funny enough, against Texas, it was the worst non-targeting call ever. Poetry, symmetry, whatever. He got that chance. First drive, he got beat like a drum. The rest of the first half, he played very well. He looked like the guy that we have been seeing develop. He is going to have a really good shot for the Khamari Simmons role. Adrian Wilson transferred from Washington State. He looks born to be that role. He's got corner experience. He's got safety experience. If you're looking at a guy that just looks the part of Khamari Simmons, I think Adrian Wilson makes the most sense. He's going to have a great shot too. Don't forget about Nyland Green. Nyland Green, really interesting. He is a boundary corner. He is a starting caliber corner. I see him in the role of LT Welsh. Welsh last year wasn't a starter for the team, but he had a critical role as their third corner with Keith Abney and Javen Robinson needing some breaks every once in a while, and they would throw him out there and he had ball skills. Nyland Green feels like that kind of guy, like your third corner, not so much your slot guy, but you find a spot for him on the field, that might be it. And then Kyan McDonald. Remember what I said about Martell Hughes for the linebacker spot? Maybe he's ready for that year 2 breakout. Copy paste that for Kyan McDonald. Both of them were able to make some plays on special teams last year. We saw them occasionally. I don't know, man. You can't count them out. Last position I want to talk about. I think this is going to catch a lot of people off guard. Who's the starting kicker? Richie, what are you talking about? The starting kicker is Jesus Gomez. I agree. And I don't think that that's a question. But we kind of thought that last year. We thought for a little while now that ASU has had their kicking problems figured out. And that has not been the case. And last year they were, as a team, kicking 55% for field goals. 3 different kickers: Parker Lewis, Ian Hershey, Carson Kiefer. 55% as a team. Absolutely miserable. You bring in Jesus Gomez, who is right around an 80% kicker for his career. It's between 75 and 80%. He's been phenomenal. He's the reason that Kenny Dillingham is the head coach of the Sun Devils. Go down that rabbit hole. That's a really fun one. Easy plug and play, right? Not necessarily. If he comes out and struggles, we have seen that ASU is willing to do what they have to do to get the best possible place kicker out there. There's a reason we saw 3 guys last year, and there's a reason those 3 guys each attempted at least 13 field goals. At least 13. Like they were, or not field goals, excuse me. Do we really only attempt 20 field goals? That's crazy. We had everyone attempted at least 13 point after attempts. Yeah, let's try that again, Richie. 20 field goal attempts. Ian Hershey had 12, Kiefer had 5, Parker Lewis had 3. It's an opportunity. See what happens. Jesus Gomez, until further notice, should be the guy. I am telling you to watch out for Karsten Kiefer. Karsten Kiefer was not horrible last year. 3 of 5 on field goals. His first attempt of the season was absolutely pitiful. His second miss was a block against Texas, and he was 12 of 13 for extra points. He is not bad, and he's a guy you need to keep an eye on. If there is going to be someone who is pushing Jesus Gomez to be the starting kicker, it's Karsten Kiefer. Ian Hershey, keep an eye on him, but I think you're going to see him get back to his role as a punter and compete with Canyon Floyd. And that's another interesting one. If Hershey is for sure going to be full-time punter, which is what he came to the program as, then that's an open competition. But I don't know what the plan for him is just yet. What I do know is Jesus Gomez, similar to Jeff Sims, like firm grip on the starting kicking spot until further notice, but do not sleep on Karsten Kiefer, because I think that Kiefer still has an opportunity to rebound, turn his career around, and show that last season was just a messy season. And quite frankly, he didn't get nearly as many opportunities as the other two guys did. So maybe this is what he needs to turn it around as a strong spring. What do you guys think? Which player do you think needs to be at their absolute best to make sure they don't lose a potential starting job? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. The podcast is there at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to make Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. I've got great news for you guys. First of all, tomorrow morning's podcast is going to be looking at the wide open battles. So not so much today where we looked at guys who may have their jobs on the line. No, instead, we are looking at the positions that are wide open. There is no guarantees for any of the starting spots. And it's going to be the positions that we pay the most attention to in spring ball. That's tomorrow. Speaking of which, I will be in attendance for practices on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the duration of spring ball. In the evenings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are going live on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Make sure your notifications are on when we go live. Come jump in, interactive, have a good time. I will be giving you guys all of my notes from what I notice at practice tomorrow. You can find them other places, but they are behind a paywall. There is no paywall here on Locked On Sun Devils. I'll keep you guys posted on everything. Make sure your notifications are on, because now has never been a better time to subscribe to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I will see you tomorrow, and until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.